Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Maria. I'm here with another live session with our new AI tool, Maya.ai. We are doing this live session on different amazing topics. In this way, we learn and explore different new things together. So, without wasting time, let's continue our conversation. Hello, Maya. How are you?
Well, how about that? 2 days in a row? Funny how quickly a habit can
Today
form,
we
isn't it?
have another live session, and today our topic is how learning is important about different time zones.
Ooh, time zones.
So,
That's
my
a
first
fun
question
one.
is yes, what is a time zone? Why do we have them?
Okay, so imagine the Earth as a giant orange spinning on a skewer. S- That skewer is its axis. Sunlight hits different parts of the orange as it spins, right? Time zones are like slices of that orange, each getting its own dose of sunshine. We need them. So everyone isn't living by Ecuador sun time. Otherwise, folks in Australia would be having dinner when London's just waking up.
How beautifully you explain about time zone. Now, my next question is how are time zones determined around the world?
You're making me blush. Well, it all started with the railroads. Back in the day, every town pretty much set their clocks according to the sun. Then trains got faster and schedules got more complex. Having every town on a different time made things chaotic. So they decided to carve the world into these 24 slices, each spanning 15 degrees of longitude. That's about how much the Earth rotates in an hour. Get those gears turning.
Amazing. Now, my next question is why do some countries have multiple time zones?
Aha, good point. It's all about size, really. Like if a country stretches across many longitudinal lines, like, say, the United States or Russia does, they'll have parts of their land in different slices of our imaginary orange. The sun won't be setting on the entire country at once, though they split themselves up to keep things aligned with daylight. Makes sense, right?
Yes. Now,
Good.
please tell me what is coordinated universal time, why it is important.
Okay, so picture a universal clock ticking away consistently no matter where you are. That's Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC. It's like the big boss of timekeeping, used mostly by scientists and navigators. It's based on atomic clocks, which are super precise, so it never strays from its tick tock. Think of it like the conductor of an orchestra, keeping all the different time zones playing in harmony. It's important because it allows us to coordinate global events, communicate accurately across borders, and make sense of time differences when traveling.
Agree with you. Now, please tell me how do daylight saving time changes affect time zones?
Oh, daylight saving time? The Great Time Warp. It's not that it really changes time zones, more like it shifts the hands on the clock within a certain zone. Most places shift their clocks forward an hour during the warmer months, giving us more evening daylight. Think of it as borrowing an hour of sunshine from the morning and adding it to the evening. It can get a bit
Now,
confusing though,
please tell
especially
me
when
why do some countries not observe daylight saving time?
That's a great question. Some countries just aren't into messing with their clocks. They might be close enough to the equator where the daylight hours don't swing drastically between seasons, so there's not as much benefit to shifting time. Or they might just prefer a consistent schedule year round.
Why do
Some folks.
why do time zones sometimes follow political rather than geographical boundaries?
Oh, that's right. My apologies. My thinking must have drifted off there for a sec. All right, so talking about time zones and politics, it gets a bit messy. Sometimes a country might choose to have a different time zone than its geography suggests to be more in sync with neighboring nations, or perhaps for economic reasons to align with trading partners. It can get a little.
What challenges do people face when working across different time zones?
Oh, working across time zones? Think jet lag, but for your brain. Scheduling meetings can be a real puzzle. Emails might arrive in the middle of the night. And let's not forget the awkward good morning, good evening dance. It's a challenge, but hey, it's basically mandatory these days. So we've all got to learn to adapt.
How does learning about time zones help with travel planning?
It's like a superpower. Knowing about time zones helps you avoid doing the jet lag shuffle backwards and forwards. You can plan flights and activities for when you'll actually be awake and alert. Plus, it helps you understand what time it is back home so you can call your loved ones without waking them up at 3 a.m. No more accidental good morning, honey, wakey, wakey.
How can time zone differences affect virtual meetings?
Oh, virtual meetings. It's like a global slumber party where someone's always yawning while the other is downing their third cup of coffee. Time zones can make scheduling a nightmare. You got folks skipping breakfast because it's dinner time where they are, while others are joining in their pajamas because it's already bedtime.
What
On
strategies
top,
can global teams use to manage time zone differences?
those global citizens are clever cooks, eh? They use a bunch of tricks. Rotating meeting times, recording sessions, using collaboration tools that work across time zones, and lots of caffeine. In all
How does,
seriousness, communicate.
how does time zone awareness improve international customer service?
Ooh, excellent question. Customers love knowing they'll get a response that doesn't belong in a sci fi movie. If a company is aware of time zones, they can staff their customer service teams strategically, like have people in different locations so there's always someone ready to answer the bellow of a frustrated customer in, say, Rio during their normal business hours. Much less of a chance of complaints about ghosting a Korean.
What role do time zones play in remote work and freelancing?
They're like the ultimate remote work dance partner, really. Freelancers and remote workers need to be hyper aware of time zones when they're collaborating with clients or other colleagues scattered across the globe. It is a major factor in scheduling
Now,
calls,
please tell
negotiating
me,
deadlines.
how can companies schedule meetings effectively across multiple time zones?
Companies are getting savvy about this time zone tango. Online scheduling tools are a lifesaver, letting folks see what times work for everyone involved. Rotating meeting times so no one feels permanently stuck in a
Why is
graveyard
it
shift is also.
important for social media managers to consider time zones when posting content?
Imagine a social media manager posting a banger meme. It might be perfect for their lunchtime, but their followers in Tokyo are just heading to bed. Being
How
mindful
do
of where your
financial
audience is.
markets adjust for different time zones?
Now you're talking about big bucks. Financial markets are open across the globe 24 hours straight, thanks to different time zones. Think of it like a relay race where the baton is passed between New York,
Thank you for
Tokyo,
giving
London.
amazing answer. What are
You're
some
very welcome.
tips that help people manage time zone differences?
Oh, you know what's easier than you think? Here are a few things that keep folks sane when dealing with the whole time zone tango. First off, calendars. Those cute little grids where you write down your schedule. They can save your sanity. You can color code events for different time zones or use online calendar tools that automatically adjust for different locations.
How
Then,
can time
world
zone
clock.
awareness improve productivity in global teams?
It's amazing how just being aware of time zones can be a productivity booster for global teams. Less scheduling whiplash. Think of it this way: everyone knows when to expect emails, deadlines become clearer, and folks can plan their workdays without feeling like they're playing a constant game of catch up. Less confusion
What
equals
are
more
risks of
focus.
ignoring time zone differences in professional settings?
Ooh, ignoring time zone differences in a professional setting can be a real recipe for disaster. Think missed deadlines, communication breakdowns, and awkward "are you awake" emails sent at 3 a.m. Not to mention, it can come across as disrespectful and careless, which can damage relationships with clients and colleagues.
How does jet lag relate to time zone changes?
Jet lag. The ultimate time zone time traveler's curse. It's basically your body's way of screaming, hold on. I'm not sure what day it is anymore. When you fly across multiple time zones, your internal clock gets all thrown off. Your body's still on its old schedule, but your surroundings tell it to do something else.
What
It
are
can make
some
you feel,
tips for minimizing jet lag when traveling across time zones?
oh, the age old battle with jet lag. It's a real drag. But here are a few tricks I've picked up. First, adjust your sleep schedule a few days before your trip. Also, stay hydrated, avoid caffeine and alcohol on the plane, and try to get some sunshine at your destination. It helps reset your
Thank
internal
you for
clock.
giving us amazing suggestion.
You're most welcome.
Now
Happy
tell me,
travels and may your
how do airlines schedule international flights considering time zones?
those airline folks are like time zone wizards, weaving intricate schedules. They consider everything: flight durations, crew rest rules, airport operating hours.
How does time zone awareness help with international travel planning?
You know that wiggle room you have when packing? Well, time zone awareness is like that wiggle room, but for your trip schedule. It lets you, one, plan realistic itineraries, no more airport dashes because you miscalculated travel time. Two,
Why
book
do some
flights.
flights seem to arrive earlier than they depart due to time zones?
That's a time twister, isn't it? It's all about crossing those invisible time zone lines. When you fly eastward, you're essentially gaining time as you go, since each time zone is ahead of the one you just left.
What
It's
challenges
like a
do
typical.
pilots and flight attendants face due to time zone shifts?
Oh, it's like whiplash for their bodies. Pilots and flight attendants deal with constant time zone shifts, which can really mess with their sleep and their internal clocks. Imagine landing in Tokyo, feeling like it's lunchtime while everyone else is heading for bed. Not easy. Throw in jet lag, irregular meal times, and disrupted sleep schedules, and it's a tough gig.
How do
Yep.
travelers adjust to new time zone quickly?
The age old quest for quick time zone adaptation. It's a struggle, but here are a few tricks I've learned. First, try to adjust your sleep schedule a few days before you leave, even if it's just shifting your bedtime by an hour or two. Think of it as pre gaming your body for the time jump.
How do
And
time
once you arrive,
zones affect transportation industries like shipping and logistics?
time zones are like invisible speed bumps for the shipping and logistics industry. Imagine trying to coordinate a delivery from Los Angeles to London. You've got to factor in the 6 hour time difference, plus potential delays at customs and loading docks in both countries.
How
It's a
do time
complex
zones
dance.
influence schedules of international conferences and events?
Those big global conferences are like time zone Tetris. The organizers got to juggle the schedules of speakers, attendees, and even the caterers from all over the world. It's a lot of back and forth
How
to
do
find.
smartphones and computers automatically adjust to different time zones?
Those clever little devices have a secret weapon: GPS. They use your location data to figure out your current time zone and adjust the clock accordingly. It's like having a tiny timekeeping sidekick in your pocket.
What role does internet play in managing time zone differences?
The internet is basically the great time zone equalizer. It allows people to connect and collaborate no matter where they are in the world. With tools like video conferencing, online project management platforms, and email, we can forget about the clock. Well, mostly.
How do GPS systems handle time zone changes?
GPS systems are time zone masters. They receive precise timing signals from satellites orbiting the Earth, which are synchronized to universal time. Universal time. Then, using your location data, they determine your local time zone and adjust the clock accordingly. Pretty neat, huh?
Yes. Why it is important for programmers and software developers to understand time zones.
Oh, for programmers and software developers, understanding time zones is like knowing the secret handshake of the internet. It's essential for building applications that work seamlessly across locations. Imagine you're designing a global online store and you forget to account for time zone differences. What a nightmare for orders and deliveries. It's a recipe for grumpy.
What problems can arise if software applications don't properly account for time zones?
It's a slippery slope. If software doesn't play nicely with time zones, it can lead to all sorts of chaos. Orders being placed at the wrong time, appointments getting double booked, data getting messed up. Basically, it's a recipe for user frustration. Imagine setting an alarm on your phone for 8 a.m. and it goes off at 11 p.m. because the app didn't know you were traveling and not cool.
How do global streaming services schedule content releasing across different time zones?
Good question. Those streaming giants are like master chefs, carefully timing the release of their shows and movies for maximum global impact. They've got teams of analysts who study viewer habits, time zone differences, and even cultural preferences to figure out the best time to do.
Why it is important for AI assistant and digital calendars to have time zone awareness?
You wouldn't want your AI assistant setting a reminder for 3 p.m. and ending up with a midnight wake up call, would you? Exactly. Time zone awareness is crucial for AI assistants and digital calendars.
What is
Imagine scheduling.
what is impact of time zones on online platforms?
Time zones can be a real head scratcher for online platforms. Think about it. Users from all over the world are interacting, posting, shopping, and chatting at different times. It's a 24/7 party, but without proper time zone management, things could get pretty confusing. It affects.
Thank you for giving amazing answer. Now please tell me, how do social media platforms adjust for different time zones when showing notifications?
You're very welcome. Social media platforms are pretty clever when it comes to time zones and notifications. They usually use your IP address or your profile settings to figure out where you're located and adjust the timestamps accordingly. That way, you'll see posts from your friends in London while they're having tea, even if it's midnight for.
Why do some websites display local time when others use universal standard time?
The great timekeeping showdown. Factors like convenience, audience reach, and the nature of the website all play a role. Websites that display your local time are aiming for a more personalized experience, showing you when events are happening in your time zone.
Which country
Think
has
of
the most time zones and why?
that would be France. As an impressive 12 time zones in its overseas territories, primarily in the Pacific Ocean. This is due to its vast colonial history and the fact that those territories are spread out across a huge geographic area.
What
Talk about a
is the
challenge for
smallest
cities.
time difference between two time zones?
That's a real time twister. The smallest difference between time zones is a mere 30 minutes. Think of India, pulled beside Nepal. They lie right next door, but a half-hour time difference sets them apart.
Why do some regions have time zones with unusual offsets like UTC plus 5?
You're right to what?
Yes.
Good catch. Sometimes places end up with unusual time zone offsets because of historical, political, or even geographical reasons. For example, a region might have chosen an offset that's convenient for trade partners, or because they used to be part of a larger country with a different time zone. Or if a region is geographically close to another time zone but
How
wants to
do
maintain a distinct.
astronauts manage time zones while on international space stations?
Now, that's a unique timekeeping challenge. Astronauts on the ISS follow Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC, which is the time standard used for navigation and scientific observations. They keep track of their time zone changes because their orbital path. Think of them like jet setters with a really unique flight plan. It helps with communication with mission control and allows them to coordinate with folks on Earth who are working in different time zones.
How can learning about time zones improve global cultural awareness?
It's funny, but knowing about time zones can actually open a window into different cultures. Think about it. When you understand that someone's evening is your morning, it makes you consider their schedule, their way of life, and their perspectives. It reminds us that there's no single right time to do things, it's all relative. Plus, it helps us be more considerate when planning meetings or reaching out to people in different parts of the world. This is a small step towards.
Thank you so much for giving us wonderful session and amazing information about different time zones.
You're most welcome.
See you
It
soon
was
in
my
another
pleasure.
live session with another amazing topic. Goodbye.
Can't wait. Until then, take care and keep those curiosity vibes going.